my campaign to insulate the power grid.
No. In fact, I apologize. I've hogged the whole interview. You've got the floor. Tell us about how big this is, George.
This is huge. This is huge. And let me tell you why I decided to make this a national campaign. Because programs like yours and programs like mine, if something happens to the power grid, not only will millions of people eventually die, and I'll tell you how, but you're off the air. I'm off the air. The message stops, and we cannot afford that to happen. Now, there are some out there who may want that to happen, and that's part of the issue that I continue to battle. I had two guests on over the last several years. Michael Maloof, who wrote the book, A Nation Forsaken, and William Forstchen, who wrote the book 1 Second After. There are two distinct possibilities to shut down our power grid. One is a major X-flare from the sun. We dodged one 2 years ago. It went off the side of the sun. Had it been a direct hit with us, we would have been cooked, according to scientists. The other is an EMP attack, a nation that gets a nuke and decides, we're not going to blow up New York or Wichita or Chicago. We're going to detonate a nuke in the atmosphere above the United States, and that electromagnetic pulse will be strong enough to shut down the power grid of the United States for years. Without power, everything shuts
And George,
down.
I know the EMP is somewhat of a threat or a hack attack as well, but for me, statistically, and reading the books, having the experts on and listening to you, because I know you cover this a lot more than I do, isn't it really the sun? I mean, we know the Earth got hit in the last 120 years multiple times by coronal mass ejections that did melt all the electronics, but then there was so little electronics it didn't do much.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And if it happens and we don't spend the chump change $1 to $4 billion to insulate this, and we can, with circuit breakers and everything else, we are literally fried. People think, okay, I'm going to go to my faucet. That's okay. Power will be out for a month or two. No, it'll be out for years. And then they may say, well, you know what, I'll just, stay in my house in the winter. No. Your furnace doesn't work. You have no heat. You try to go get water. The company that pumps the water to your house won't have the capability of doing that anymore. You can't go to the ATM and get your money out because that's not working anymore. It will be chaos. What's happening in Ferguson, Missouri right now is nothing compared to what will happen if an X-flare or an EMP shuts down the power grid of the United States. And the bottom line is, nobody will hear Alex Jones. Nobody will hear George Noory. There'll be no messages. Your cell phones won't work. Nothing will work.
Tell folks what a Carrington event is. And historically, we've been hit by these, they think, every 150 years or so. I mean, this is just so frightening to know that it's not a question of if but when. And I've seen congressional testimony on C-SPAN that I know you've covered. But then when I talk about this, I get emails saying, Alex, why are you scaring people? We're telling folks about something that is a fact.
This is real. The Carrington event happened in the 1800s, the late 1800s, named after a scientist named Carrington, who registered and knew that the sun had set off a major flare. I mean, huge. And really, the only electronics of the time was the telegraph system. It literally fried the wires. It cooked it. Things burned. The posts started to burn. It was so big. And again, I went into a local drugstore a couple of years ago in St. Louis, Alex. They had a power outage. So they're trying to manually get everybody through the line, right? They couldn't do it. One, the tellers don't know how to add anymore. Without a computer saying, you know what, you gave me $15 and it was $8.15, here's your change. They can't do that. And they shut down after an hour. It will be the biggest catastrophe this country, this world, has ever seen. And again, for a paltry $1 to $4 billion chump change with what they did in the bailout, we can fix the grid. We can insulate it. We can protect the United States. Some states are already doing it on their own, but but it's got to be done on a national basis.
This is one of the best campaigns. Usually these campaigns, oh, find a cure to breast cancer. It's all just feel good, raise more money. I'm not against that, but why not find out why breast cancer is increasing so much? That's what I'd really get behind. What you're doing is one of the major threats to civilization. You are targeting something that is absolutely as big a danger as nuclear war. It's a reality, and why wouldn't our government and other governments do what the engineers have said and put these hubs in, these transformer protectors in, these surge protectors in? That's what they are at the major power stations for $1 to $4 billion. I mean, this should have been done 50 years ago, George.
It's national security. We've partnered with WorldNet Daily, WND. You can join us too, Alex, as well, to get the word out. This is what I need. I need everybody who listens to you, Alex, to email their specific congressperson or senator, not somebody outside their state, because they got a system now where they can not get your email. Email your senator or congressperson and say, you need to start thinking about legislation to insulate our power grid.
George Noory, stay there. This is exactly what a talk show host with almost 600 radio stations is supposed to do. George Noory. I mean, nobody else does this kind of stuff. Good job, WorldNet Daily, as well. This is important. We're going to come back and tell you how to do it. When you've got Obama involved now in the Justice Department, we tried to stir up the Trayvon Martin thing. Coast to Coast AM, I know tonight, midnight Central. I guess that'd be 10 o'clock Pacific. George Noory will be covering it across the nation as well. And I was just talking to George. I'm going to be on his show sometime next week, so look for that as well. George, you've got the floor. I've been hogging things as usual, the Motormouth Bulldog. Tell us more about your initiative. WorldNet Daily has the headline, "The End is Near," and then breaks down your nationwide campaign that got launched just in the last week or so that's getting a lot of attention. Tell us what we do to get Congress to do the right thing.
Alex, I've got 3 children. I've got 6 grandchildren, and I want them to have a country, a future, a life. That's what we're here for on this planet. You know, this quickness of time goes by so darn fast. When you look at the tragedies of Robin Williams and the other people who have just, you know, occupied a brief moment of time on this planet, I want us to enjoy it. That's what we're here for, to be good to our fellow human beings, to enjoy life at its fullest until we have to jump off and join the hereafter. And this power grid is insurance. I don't like paying insurance on my car. I don't like paying insurance on my house. But you know what? If something happens, I've got the insurance, and I'm happy I did it. That's what this is. We need to insulate the grid. It may not happen in our lifetime in terms of the X-flare or the EMP attack, but it will happen. And so,
I mean, it might happen next week.
It could happen next week. It could happen tonight. As you buy insurance, that's what it is. It is nothing in terms of money. If I were Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, worth billions, I'd call up Bill Gates and say, Bill, we lose everything if the grid goes down. For $1 to $4 billion, I'm just going to write a check. We're going to get this on. They could do it privately. But what I need everybody to start doing is to educate their legislators. I've got Nick Begich through his brother, Mark Begich, a senator from Alaska. He's looking at this now, too. Maloof and Forstchen are working with some legislators to try to get them more aware of what's going on, to pass legislation, to get it done. It's a no-brainer. It actually will create some jobs in this country for a little bit while they work on the insulating of the grid. It's the most important thing I think I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Well, it is, and it's something we can do something about, and all the engineers are on record. Congress even admits it. Other governments have moved somewhat in this direction. All the main government facilities and things and submarines and other key weapon systems, they are insulated. They do have the surge protectors, basically is what they are, jumbo surge protectors. And you just got to ask, why hasn't it been done with the whole grid? Because they started building it 120 years ago, 130 years ago, and just never really did it, so it's not something we do. And it's crazy that they haven't done it, because look at how solar flares blow out satellites all the time. And
Absolutely.
I mean, this is crazy.
Let me do my quick impression of Alex Jones when an X-flare hits us. Here it goes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Jones on Infowars.com. That's how it'll sound. You'll be gone. It's got to get fixed.
Well, maybe for some people, they want the X-Flare to come.
Well, some people do. You know, those globalists who want to control, they have estimated close to 200 million Americans will die over the course of the time that this power grid hits. I mean, can you imagine in winter on the East Coast when it gets down to zero, you have no heat? You're going to freeze to death. You're gone.
George, promise me you'll come back to do a whole hour in the next few months just on this subject.
Sure. We'll keep pounding away at it.
Thank you so much. There goes George Noory. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.